The Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living and the Ministry of Dr. Moira Foxe presents Living Ideas.
And as we do, we open our minds and we open our hearts to that beautiful, beautiful feeling of gratitude, of thanksgiving. An amazing energy that fills us with a sense of well-being and a sense of joy because we know that we are blessed. And so we give thanks for those blessings now that fill our lives and all of the corners of our lives all of the time, consciously and unconsciously. So we give thanks to the source of our being now, the creator of our lives, the sustainer of our lives, and the lover of our souls. As we pause for a moment in quietude and rest, to appreciate the greatest of all things, our awareness of that which is greater than we are, that great good in the universe that is given to us to our use and that we can use. And we delight in this opportunity to render to that amazing grace in a way that is deep, in a way that is awake, in a way that knows the truth. That right where I am, that power, that presence is, and where that power and where that presence is, all is well. And for this, the gift of my life and the awareness that something greater than I am lives through me, above all of my blessings, this one, I do give thanks. And so with a heart filled with gratitude and a mind steeped in appreciation and thanksgiving, I set the attention always that I may know who my source is, what my source is, and live in a state of praise and gratitude to that source, knowing that all of my needs are taken care of. And what I'm knowing for myself, I am knowing for every person on this plane and for every living thing. So in love, I release this set intention into that amazing creative process of life, knowing always that it responds to me immediately and affirmatively as I say. And so it is. So welcome into the sanctuary, everybody. It is a thrill. It is a wonderful thing to be here with you on this great good night. And as you know, it's not easy being green. Oh, I don't think that's the topic tonight. It's good to be with you in the sanctuary, and I do appreciate deeply your commitment to taking this time out for yourself, to drawing aside and to rendering to God the things that are God's, as tomorrow we will render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's. And football. And turkey. Or toe turkey, or whatever the tofu version is. Anyway, it is a really wonderful thing to join in with you tonight, to pause for a moment, to be quiet, so that we can understand that we are who we are, what we are, and all the blessings that we have are ours because of that which is greater than we are, that lives and moves and has its being within us and expresses its own life through us. It's an amazing concept that few of us understand, even those of us who are endeavoring to, far less those who are totally unconscious altogether. So it's an amazing thing that we are here tonight. And I appreciate that because I know the kind of rush up to Thanksgiving and getting everything ready for the morrow and so on. And yet here you are because you know within you that this is truly what life is about. This kind of a feast, this kind of a celebration, this is what really brings meaning and purpose and fills us with a sense of well-being, this. And so we look to that which it is that we're celebrating today, and it is the ability to be able to give thanks in all things. And that's what the great scriptures say. Give thanks in all things, not just when you're feeling good, and not just when you've won the lotto, and not just when you've had your own way or got whatever it was you wanted, but when things are a little touchy, things are a little difficult, things are a little turbulent and truculent, to be able to give thanks in those moments too. And when you and I can give thanks in those moments, we know we're really getting what it is to be a spiritual being. That we can maintain and sustain that sense of calm and peacefulness and inner quiet joy even when things are not going the way we would like them to go. Because we have come to understand that everything is passing, everything is passing. This too shall pass, says the line in Scripture. This too shall pass. That means everything is going to pass, so don't worry about it. Don't be concerned about the difficult times because they're passing. They will pass and they will turn into better times. Don't get attached to the good times because they too are passing. So don't settle your tent there. Don't rest there because things change. But the one thing that doesn't have to change is our approach and our attitude to life and living and who we are in whatever circumstances we find ourselves. That doesn't have to change. And that's what we're giving thanks for here tonight and celebrating. We're celebrating that power and that presence and that life that lives us, that life that is in everything, that life that enlivens everything, that life that is everything, but most especially you and most especially me. And we're pausing to give a sense of appreciation and praise and to bless back and to love back and to appreciate back that which has created us. And in creating us, moved into us, settled down within us, and is not going to ever leave us. And so that thing that lives and moves and has its being within us, that's what we're celebrating here tonight. We really, really are. And when you and I catch the consciousness of the truth that our blessings are indeed our true and real assets, when we get that, we are always going to enjoy a great profit. Those are the assets that bring forth the greatest of all prophets. And that's why we're here tonight, because we do get that, and we do want to give thanks, and we do want to be praising, and we do want to be blessing, and we do want to be in appreciation. And we do understand that the more grateful we are, the more blessed we are. That's how life works. It was Cicero a very long time ago said that a grateful heart is the greatest, the parent of all virtues, the greatest of all virtues. And it was Meister Eckhart that said, if the only prayer you ever pray is thank you, it is enough. It is enough. To be grateful is to be appreciative. To be appreciative is to be in praise and blessing. And to be in praise and blessing is to maintain a sense of peacefulness and calm and inner joy, and to be what we are created to be, spiritual, individualized beings moving through this life in a way that is a blessing, in a way that is uplifting, in a way that is enlivening, and in a way that is empowering. Not just yourself, but everything and everyone around and about you. All over this great land, of course, people are gathering together and people are still on their way home for Thanksgiving. It is purely a magnificent American celebration of Thanksgiving. And yet it goes deeper and it goes wider and it goes further than just remembering the Native Americans coming together with the Pilgrims to share what they had and to enter into friendship and celebration. It goes much deeper than that, and where it goes to is the roots of our being. Always in the psychic of man, since way back when, ancient times, there was a need in mankind to give thanks. There was a need in mankind to share and return back onto whatever it was they understood to be greater than themselves in gratitude for the blessings of harvest at this time. This celebration is a very ancient pagan one too. It goes way, way back. In ancient Celtic Ireland, it's called Samhain. And Samhain is the celebration of the movement of autumn into winter. And it begins with the celebration on the 31st of October. And it's the celebration of fire. And so bonfires are lit all over the land and so on, and people gather and the tribes come together. And this is not just a Celtic tradition, this is a very worldwide tradition all over. And so clans, and here the Cherokee Nation too, it was their biggest year of all in ancient times. When all the tribes would assemble, they'd come together, and it was a time when they would bring all their wonderful wares, and they're still doing it down in Santa Fe every year. And they would exchange their wares, and they would have feasting, and they would be grateful, and they would give thanks. And also they would make sure that the poor and the needy had enough food to take care of them through the winter, and they would forgive each other grievances. They would forgive all sins except one, murder. They didn't go there at that time. They hadn't gone that far. Neither have we when we hang on to the death penalty and so on and things like that. But anyway, that was innate in man from the beginning, to take what was given, to take the work of their hands and to bless that, and then to take from that and put it back, give it back, return it back to the source from whence it came. And also the understanding that the elderly and the needy and so on needed to be taken care of. And so they would be. It's within us to care. It's within us to share. It's within us to empower. We can't get away from ourselves. And so we have that rich, rich history. And when you think deeply enough about it, you come into the realization of your own sense of being when you pause to consider like this. Your own sense of empowerment, and how every day is given to you to care and to share and to empower every single day, not just at certain times of year, but every single day. I love the stories. I love ancient stories because they are archetypes, and they stand for all of our modern stories too. But I love the story of the great Persian king that was a very good king and loved his people dearly. And he'd dress up and he'd go out into the public as an ordinary, person. Mix and mingle with the people, talk with the people. Sometimes he would dress up as a beggar and he would go around the homes, and very often he was invited in. And one night he was invited in to a very poor kind of dwelling. It was a cellar dwelling, and the gentleman who lived in there was in dire circumstances, but he welcomed in the beggar, and he shared with him what he had to share, which was very coarse bread and some water. And so they talked with each other, and they entertained each other, and they had a great night together. And off the king went, giving thanks to the gentleman for sharing what he had with him. And then, a couple of weeks later, he comes back in all his regalia as the king. And the gentleman who had shared with him was absolutely stunned. And he said, "As you see, I am your king, and I am here to ask you what is your bidding. Whatever you desire, I would be very happy to give it to you." And the gentleman said, "Oh," he said, "sire," he said, "you came to my home and I was willing to share with you what I had. And I know that you share greatly with all of the people in your realm. But he said, when you came to me, we talked. We communicated intimately with each other. You gave me so much in that evening. You gave me yourself, and that is gift enough. There's nothing more I require from you. And I love that story because when all of the pretense and all of the circumstances and the pomp and circumstances are put aside, and we sit down with each other, eye to eye and heart to heart, and we just simply share, then there's a real meeting of spirits. It's just not a mind meeting. It's a heart meeting, a soul meeting, and a spirit meeting. And that's what we have to give to each other, and that's what the world is starving for. That is what the world is starving for, to be recognized, to be heard, to be listened to be treated like they matter, each individual. Whether you're poor or whether you're hungry or whether you're part of the unknown or forgotten. Everybody has that the desire within them. It never leaves us, that desire. Because there's something in us that wants spirit to be recognized through us. And it's not just about me, my ego, wanting to be recognized. It's about the spirit within me wanting to be recognized. And it can only be recognized by the spirit within you. That's the way it happens. And you know, it's so simple. It's so simple. That opportunity that you were given to share with each other tonight, some of you availed of that opportunity, but some of you didn't. Some of you kept it at a very superficial level, but some of you went deeper. That was your opportunity that you could have gifted each other. I'm not going to say hands up those who. But you know what I'm saying? Those are the kinds of gifts that we have plenty of to give to each other. Each one of us has a heart that is an amazing treasury. And no matter how we give from the treasury of our hearts, it's never depleted. Ever, never depleted. I love that other story of the great Alexander. Alexander the Great. He's off on one of his travels, and as he's moving along from city to city, he meets a beggar man along the way, and the beggar man says to him, "Oh, great king, please, please, help me, help me, help me." And so the great Alexander, you know, reaches into his purse and he takes out some golden coins and he gives it to the beggar, and the beggar is filled with delight and can't thank him enough. And then one of his courtiers says to him, "Oh, good sir, you didn't have to give him gold. Copper would have more than met his needs." And the king responds, the great Alexander responds, "Yes, copper may well indeed have met his needs, but only gold will meet the needs of the giver." And I love that story. I love that story. So in our giving, it asks us, what are we doing? Are we coloring our gifts copper, or are we coloring our gifts gold? How do we gift? What's the energy? What's the energy there in that gift? How do we gift each other? With the least possible amount, or with all that we have to give? Which is so very, very much. And I'm going to tell you another story, because I love stories. I love stories. That's a true story. In the 18th century, there was a great, wonderful minister in Europe. And he was a very loving and giving man, to the point that he collected orphans around him, and he did his best to take care of those orphans. And so it was approaching a holiday, and he was very concerned because he only had one gold coin left, and he didn't know how that was going to meet the needs for the coming season. And then one night, a knock came to the door, and he opened the door, and it was a very destitute, widowed, older woman, and she needed help. She really needed help. And he said, "I'm so very sorry, we just don't have the means to help you out. at this time. And she was so upset and so weary and crying so hard. He said, well, wait for a minute. I have to go away for a minute and I'll come back. So he went to his room and he prayed. He prayed to the Holy Spirit. What was he going to do? Oh, Holy Spirit, help me. What am I to do? What am I to do? I have to feed these children. I have to pay the bills. And yet this woman is in such need. What am I to do? So he got up from his prayer with the idea that he was to go and give her the last golden coin that he had. So he gave her the last golden coin that they had. And she blessed him deeply. And a couple of days later, he got a little note from her saying, because you were so kind to me, I am praying that the heavens will open and pour down great blessings upon you. And 3 days later, if he wasn't given the gift of 12 golden coins. And then a day after that, a friend of him gave him 2 more golden coins. And he was thinking, oh, how wonderful of the Holy Spirit to show up in this way. That's glorious. Well, the next week, one of the princes of the realm donated 500 golden coins to his work and his orphanage. And he was beside himself, realizing that he shouldn't have doubted in the first place, and he didn't really have to go away and pray, and he should have given the, you know, how you do that after the fact. Should have given it there and then, and so on and so forth, you know. And what he had a lesson in was science of mind, the law of reciprocity, the law of casting your bread upon the water, the law of return. And he had a great lesson in that. And yet we can see ourselves in all of these people. We can see ourselves on both sides of the situation in these people and in these stories. And yet every single day, you and I, out of the rich treasury of our hearts, can be as generous as all get up. We can fling that stuff away and never deplete the resource that's right here. Never, ever be depleted as a result of it. Never. But you have to know that in your deepest, 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 deepest self. You have to know it. You can't fake it. You can't pretend. Or you can't use it like magic and say, okay, if I give away, I'll get back. It doesn't work that way. You have to just know deep down within yourself that I am so taken care of. I am so blessed. I am so given to. And that's always going to be the case. And that's what we have to know. Which is why we're here tonight, to give thanks to the source, the provider of our good, divine providence itself. To pause and realize for a deep moment how amazingly loved we are, how amazingly cherished we are, how highly we are regarded by the source of our being and the creator of our lives, and how much of a joy it is for that creator to bestow upon us as many blessings as you and I are open to receive. Open to receive. That's why we're pausing tonight, to get a deeper sense of that. And in our singing and in our prayerfulness, to really and truly be in that state of amazing grace. Because amazing grace is really the throbbing heart within us, beating its own song of fullness and plenty and wholeness and wellness all of the time for those of us who have an ear to hear. And a voice to respond in the affirmative, like the universe that always says yes. There was an amazing, very wealthy man interviewed on some years ago, I remember, on some public channel program, and he was asked the secret of his success. And he said, I came to the point in my life where I made a commitment to myself that I would always say yes to a need when it crossed my path. If at all possible, I would say yes. And once I committed to that, I have never had to say no since. And he said, that is what I attribute all of my prosperity to. And I'm not just talking about all the money. that I have been able to attract, but all of my prosperity. Yes, 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 yes. And as you understand, our first response is usually either subconsciously or consciously, no, no. Even if it's something good, some change or something like that, no, no, no. And why is that? It's because it's imprinted upon us as small babies. We go toward the fire, no. We go to do something, put our finger in a socket, no. We go to pull something down, no. That's why you see little babies wearing bibbies that say, my name is no, 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 no. So that's kind of imprinted on us at a very early age. Now we have to get out of that pattern and learn to say, yes, 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 yes. Yes, I can. And you never have to say no to anybody. What you can say is, at this particular point in time, that's not what I can do for you, but this is what I can do for you. And you're not saying no. This is what I can do for you. You can always pray. You can always treat for somebody. Something you can always do is pray. It's the best thing to do. But you can't pray and use it as an excuse for not doing more that you could do if you could do it, if you know what I'm saying. You don't get off the hook that way. Oh, I'll say a prayer for you, you know, and that should cover it. No, no. Sometimes you have to do the prayer, not just say the prayer. You have to be the prayer, not just say the prayer. You have to show up as the prayer, not just say the prayer. As Jesus said, you can't just be a speaker of the word, you have to be a doer of the word. In other words, be the word that you are. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was God made flesh. Therefore, the word is you. So you get to be godly, sovereign like the great Alexander. You can sense yourself as a sovereign being with the attitude of sovereign generosity. Sovereign generosity. You cannot ever give and not be blessed by it, and you will never outgive the provider of all of your good, the source of your being. It's impossible. You cannot outdo the generosity of life, of light, of love itself, the creator of it all. So test it out, don't take my word for it. But for now, you and I can go into every new day with purpose and meaning. You and I can go into each day perhaps like Kahil Gibran, or as they call him over in Europe, Halil Gibran. You can go into the day. You can go into every new dawn, he says, with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. And that's what I'm knowing you will do tomorrow morning, because you have been here tonight. And I will know your tomorrow will be all the sweeter because you have been here tonight. And I am knowing that as you play ball, you're just going to know there's more than playing ball going on in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, and in your home. It is love itself personified in gratitude and amazing grace by means of you, and so it is.